Hello, boys and girls. I haven't done one of these for a while, and I am quite excited for it. I have been waiting for Nilah's release since she was teased at the beginning of this year. I have actually talked to my friend about wanting a whip champion in League, since I first started playing back the beginning of Season 9, which, actually, even before that, when I started watching the Castlevania Netflix show, I wanted a Trevor Belmont in League of Legends, and now I have it. The fun thing about this is she plays very similarly to a champ that I play quite a bit of, and that is Yasuo. Of course, everybody's gonna hate that, but let me show you guys why. So, first of all, she is super overloaded. Like, I don't even deny she is going to be broken, and I can't wait for it because I'm one-tricking this champ. First off, her passive. She has basically Zillion's passive, except there's no cooldown, and it doesn't work just one at a time. You can't do it with just one level. And this is a constant thing, which means you will be ahead of your enemies in lane almost all the time. When Nilah kills a minion, she and her near-list ally gain 50% of the experience they would have normally lost from sharing the kill. That means rather than getting, let's see, I think it's something like, let's just make it easy and say that they get 50% of the XP that they normally get when they kill a minion solo. So let's say that's 100. Rather than getting 50 XP, they'll get 75 XP now. So this actually increases to overall the XP total that you're going to be getting in lane for the two of you. And the other part of her passive is that she has a much stronger version of Revitalize on her passive, and it also buffs your ally again. Nilah gains 10% increased effectiveness from healing and 20% effectiveness from shielding, given to her by allied champions. If an allied heals or shields her, they will also gain the increased amount of the shield or heal for themselves. This is going to make her very strong with champions like Janna, Lulu, just any of the enchanters, and pretty much anyone who can just buff an ally. Because even someone like Zillion is going to be running Iv'e, so when he gives her a speed boost, she gets a shield from Iv'e, while he also gets a mini shield. Might be minuscule, but a shield is a shield nonetheless. This also means that she can take a different summoner spell rather than heal, because if the support takes heal, it becomes more effective when used. So she can take things like Ignite, Exhaust, Barrier. You really wanted to, you could take Ghost or Teleport or something. I mean, it's a lot. And that's just her passive. That's just the synergy with her passive that I'm talking about. I haven't even gotten to her abilities. The first of her abilities is Formless Blade. She passively gains Armor Pen while building crit, and she also gains Omnivamp from building crit. Now these aren't huge numbers, Like 33% armor pen is me getting 100% crit. That's not as much as it would be if you also built like a Lord Doms and a Collector with lethality and even more armor pen. And then the healing for damage dealt, 15%. That's going to be a lot because this gives her overhealing, and overhealing gives her a shield. So she works really well with Shield Bow and Bloodthirster. Because of this, and her playstyle, I also think Conqueror is going to be the best rune for her. There could be an argument made for Lethal Tempo because of the active of her Q, but I don't think it's going to be good as Conqueror. So the active of her Q. She strikes in the target direction, much like another champion everybody loves. And then she buffs for the next 4 seconds. She buffs her auto attacks, so they strike in an arc. Which means, when you hit something, you're now going to hit everything else too. This is just a great ability. This is specifically the one that I was talking with my friend years ago about, that I wanted somebody with a passive where their weapon, whip, or glaive, because I was tossing up between the two. Whip or glaive would strike multiple people at once, because, I mean, I just thought that was a really cool concept. On top of buffing her attacks to hit in a cone, she also gains a big attack speed buff, and she gains additional range.
Master one evil, then destroy the rest.
So you'll see here, my attack range is relatively close, but you'll see it gets a decent sized buff when you strike with the Q. Also, this Q has an absurd AD scaling. 320% AD scaling. I genuinely can't think of a single ability that has scaling that high. It's quite bonkers. It's crazy. Now for her W, the ability everybody is going to call broken, because it kinda is. Jubilant Veil. Nilah envelops herself in mist for 2.25 seconds, becoming ghosted, gaining move speed, and she dodges basic attacks and reduces incoming magic damage by a fixed amount. That's 25%. While this is active, if she touches an allied champion, she will also grant that allied champion the same benefit for 1.5 seconds. Now, we saw that in the teaser, where Rakan jumped on her, and then jumped and Grand Entranced knocked up the enemies. But he also took no damage, because they couldn't auto-attack him. Now, the big thing people were freaking out about was they thought that she was going to have, like, a Gwen ability that just makes her immune to CC and she can't be touched, but no, it is just basic attacks. So the Twisted Fate yellow card that they used was a little bit deceptive. This is Jax's Counter-Strike, but now she can give other people Counter-Strike. So that's gonna be fun. There's not much to it other than that. It's a pretty simple ability. Her E, though, her E is going to be the fun one. So it works on a charge system. She dashes a fixed distance through an enemy. So you see I ended up directly on top of that guy, but if I dash while I'm right next to this one, I go much farther away.
Prepare for death.
This can be used twice in a row before you have to wait for it to actually cool down. You get 2 charges. You have half a second between each use. I think Navori Quick Blades with her Q and E, I think Navori Quick Blades are going to be a relatively stable component for her, because this will help her stay in combat able to spam her abilities. I think it's just going to be a great item for her. The damage on it isn't super high. I actually think Samira's dash has much higher... I think that has a higher base damage and a higher scaling. I could be wrong though. I definitely know Yasuo's isn't that high, but Yasuo's also has no cooldown, and it deals magic damage. The other cool thing about this is while using this, if you want to increase your DPS, you can also use your Q, which means you will automatically be buffed when you go through them. So if you have 2 enemies lined up like this, you EQ, start striking the back one, and you'll be hitting both of them.
For this strength, I gave everything.
It doesn't change the shape of the strike like Yasuo. It pretty much just increases your DPS, but that is a really cool thing to be able to do. Now for her ultimate. And this is, yeah, this is quite a bit of damage. Nilah whirls her whip blade, dealing a very large amount of damage over 1 second. And then finishes with a burst of even more damage, and that will also pull enemies towards her, like Shockwave, Oriana's ultimate.
No adversary is too powerful.
Now that on its own, okay, great ult, fantastic. But she also heals herself and nearby ally champions by 30% plus 15% of her damage dealt to enemy champion's health, converting any overhealing into shield for 6 seconds. Again, we see the little bit too much that's coming in here. I mean, this right here, this is more than 1600 physical damage. That is also CC and also healing. And it's also 1.5 seconds. Look at that. I didn't do anything else. $22.05. 2,200 damage in... What was that? Less than 2 seconds. This is literally just you dash in and one-shot somebody.
I will topple giants.
Now, unfortunately, I haven't found any crazy combos to do with her. She doesn't feel like she has a lot of combo potential, if that makes sense. She feels a lot more like a Yasuo, where you're just... You need to be able to space and time your ability usage between, like, auto attacks.
I will not fall to you. This is my domain. Jubilation.
Or like Samira, where you just kind of roll your face on the keyboard until you can ult. I do think she's going to be difficult for people to get down, because she doesn't have super high base stats. Like, she isn't... She can be blown up if she gets jumped on. Even with all the healing that she has, I mean, the enemy will also have anti-healing. So, I don't think jumping into 1v5 is going to be the best idea. You can certainly try it, though. And yeah, that's about it. These are my thoughts on Nilah.